tacos and all the fun stuff from Monica. And then one cool little follow-up, Mon is all about experiences and giving back. So in light of Father's Day being this Sunday, and one would argue that Father's Day is every day because we're like out there doing our thing, right? Yeah, I'm the only one. No, I'm kidding. No, Doug. Anyone who's a dad, we have these gratitude stones for you guys to have and own. Paul, why don't you dig in? They all have a really cool word of affirmation. What does yours say?
Blessings.
Blessings. There you go. Every day. For Jerry, 100%.
Let's see.
Yay. What do you get?
I'm a single mom.
I got Cherish.
Cherish. Mom and dad. You're my mom.
Mom and dad.
Got any other dads here? I know you got one dad. Who's not a dad? Yeah, there you go. So dads come in. I know Jonathan's a dad. We'll get him on there. And thank you guys for coming out today. We're going to make sure that this is an action-packed hour. We may even just jump over a couple slides to make sure we get Doug, as Doug is killing his top 30 today, like as we all are. Bear with me as we go through. Except no one's definition of your life, define yourself. And this is something we can pull from any flow coaching with Paul Morris. There's nothing that says like, hey, this is my history, this is who I am. No, that history does not define you. That history is just part of what makes you who you are. And you get to control that narrative. Something very powerful, just for a seed to think about. Think of your future self. Who you are today is someone you thought of 10 years ago. So 10 years ago today, I was sitting somewhere in 2013 and said, hey, I don't want to be on WIC anymore. I don't want to be broke anymore. There's something that I can do that could get us off of this path. And 10 years later, here we are. Is it exactly where we want to be? Maybe, right? We got 4 kids. We had 2 to start with. And, we kind of end, we're done with the 4. But we're in real estate that I think we're going to be in real estate, maybe not. But it's one of those things where there's a future self of you living 10 years from now, and you're creating that person today. All right. Shout out to the birthdays. Let me just minimize this screen real quickly here. So Lavette, happy birthday or belated birthday. I was going to say Soleil, working on a $7 million deal over there, making it happen with Ben Acosta, crushing it. We got Ronnie in the room. Just saw Ronnie somewhere right here. There you are. Happy birthday to you, brother. Josh, Shahab, Cheryl, David Tennant, Mark Katz, Ashley Green, the whole crew. If I'm missing somebody, I'm sorry. I can't read this close to a TV monitor. So my bad. Any other birthdays that we may be missing? Laura Gonzalez, Ronit, Ben DeGua, Christian, Sean. All right. Happy birthday to all the June babies. Love it. Up next, we got anniversaries. Oh, hey, they got my anniversary on there. Finally. All right. Got Matthew, got Ian, got Katie. There you go. The whole crew. David Rosenberg, Joe. Oh, Joe. Hey, Joe's anniversary today too. 4 years. Emil, or AKA Joseph. And it doesn't say 2 years, but I've spent my entire career at Keller Williams, loving it here. Deborah Mendoza, loving it. And then our closings for last month from La Familia all the way through Pitts Group to Linda White, Christine Wheeler, Emilio, Friedman Group, the whole squad. Congratulations to everyone who's made it happen and is continuing to make it happen. I can see Alan over here. He closed out that Granada Hills property for list price. Congratulations. So some serious momentum, some serious buildup that's happening in the background and in the foreground. So congratulations to everybody. And if you think about it, in this market, not every realtor is closing a deal every month. So when if it's taking, what my coach said, if it's taking 8 or 9 realtors to close one deal, you're actually outpacing 8 or 9 other agents by having one deal closed. And if you're closing 2 deals now, you're outpacing 16 to 18 agents at a time. So there we go. Shout out to Eileen Rodriguez. Woo! Capped 100%. And she is a bona fide capper. Even when I met her when she was rookie of the year at her former company, just a stud. Linda White, congratulations. Woo! Playing the role of mom and dad like my mom, 100%, crushing it. Great job. And then at a glance, we have our family picnic to be determined. Mega Camp in August. We have the KW Forward Living dinner at Mega Camp. Believe me, guys, that's the mastermind that you want to be a part of. Mega Camp is awesome. Mega Agent Camp, hanging out with I would say Eddie, but Eddie, Paul, Josh, the whole crew in a more private setting is a lot of fun. For those who are hitting the Bahamas 8th through 12th in November, awesome. My wife and I will be hanging out with the kids. Holiday party on the 14th. Good to see you, Nicholas. Steve Sachs in the room. Love you guys. And we want our sponsor today, Chris from Beacons. Got 5 minutes to just crush it. And we're very grateful that you're here today. And take it away, sir. Thank you.
All right. Let's crush it.
Yay. Awesome, awesome. Are you a dad, by the way?
I am a
Oh,
dad.
here you go, sir.
What's this?
It's a gratitude stone. My wife got gratitude, so it's probably
That's the
yeah.
coolest thing
We'll
I've
make
ever
sure to get
seen.
Steve Sachs and Nicholas and
Hey, gratitude stone. Cool.
And
Thank
me.
you. I am a dad. My sons are 8 and 5.
What's
Um,
that say?
What's that? It says celebrate.
Oh.
Yeah, that's after you've dropped everybody off and really appreciate being able to come back and speak again. My name is Chris Green. I'm a household and office moving coordinator with Beacons Moving Solutions. There is nobody in Los Angeles who gets more fired up and excited about moving storage than me. We are an experienced company. Our company dates back to 1896 with horse and horse-drawn carriage. Our company actually has engines in our trucks now. We don't just use horse anymore. We're located in We're located in the Chatsworth area, and we service everywhere in LA, Orange County, Ventura County. We have a nationwide network of partner moving companies that can handle work in and out of the state. We handle all aspects of moving, from small to big, storage, short-term, long-term, moving up the street, moving 3,000 miles away, anything that has to do with moving and storage, we handle that. I get calls all the time like, we didn't think you handled the studio apartment. We handle everything, big or small, with moving and storage. We offer packing services and crating services. We're fully insured, fully licensed. We have specialty technicians to handle the Peloton bikes and the audio visual equipment. We're a full litany of resources for moving and storage. Important, I go out and personally survey every single lead I get. Anything referred to us, I go out personally. I do a walkthrough on the premises. We take an electronic inventory of goods. We go over some photographs so customers understand how the process takes place. Really helps to remove the stress and the question marks about moving. When we leave the house, even if they don't choose us as their mover, I defy them to say anybody else went through a more thorough process of the quoting stages. We've got some cards and things in the back. Anybody that has referred me, thank you in the past, and anybody that might potentially be referring me, please always refer my cell number. We do have like a call center type of thing, and I always hope that the lead comes to me directly and let them know they were referred from Keller Williams. Our pricing is competitive. Our service is top notch. We treat these referrals like gold. When I get a referral from a realtor, I understand there is no room for error. Your neck is on the line as the referring person, and we value that. We respect that. We communicate with the customers and you on each step of the way if you're so inclined. One note about summer moving season is that good movers book up quick. I'm getting calls. They're like, hey, can you move me on Monday? Most of June starts to book up. Good movers book 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance. And also for interstate moving, that tends to book up a few weeks in advance. We have seen a lower demand on interstate moving, and we have reduced pricing. Never hear that out of a moving company man's mouth, but they did. They reduced the summer pricing due to a lower demand. Like I said, there's some cards and things in the back. We hope to hear from you. We very much value our relationship with Keller Williams. I think we moved you guys into this office when many had us move you over here. I hope to have relationships. I know I work with Rachel, and there's a few people in here that you know we've been a great resource for. Thanks for letting me talk, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the meeting.
The amount of stress which is alleviated from a client's body and their emotional in their voice when they hear that you have a solid moving contact, and you can refer 2 or 3 like, hey, this is not necessarily the most inexpensive, you know, but do your thing, do your due diligence. And Chris, thank you for making it out here. Really appreciate it. And by the way, high quality cards, it almost feels like a library card. Not losing like that away. Yeah, there you go. Awesome, awesome. And up next, we want to bring up both Doug and Paul. Told you guys we just want to get right into the hour. So Paul, Doug, and I don't know if you guys want to stand and Paul, if you wouldn't mind, I mean, so little introduction. Maybe he doesn't need an introduction. Right, I mean, I knew of Paul back when he was the regional director for Keller Williams, here in SoCal. Saw him on stage, learned a lot from him when I was just a volunteer assistant team leader, and then the opportunity to work together again in forward living. Doug actually knew of you years ago through just the grapevine. Like, oh, hey, if you're ever in a deal with Doug, hey, bring your lunch because you got to be on top of your game, and B, he's incredibly fair. And then lo and behold, I joined this office. I'm like, oh, I didn't know Doug Pitts was at Keller Williams. So, or at least this Keller Williams office. So it's quite a blessing to be able to associate and learn from them. There's a YouTube video out. If you just look up Doug Pitts, he's being interviewed here at this office. And I probably watched that video 30 or 40 times, right? Especially when we were in transition phase. And there's so many golden nuggets you can pull. And hopefully you guys can pull those same golden nuggets today. If not, hit that video again. Paul, if you don't mind, you take the lead. I'll be, I'll take left, right, and
Sure.
I do have some questions, but if you have a pressing one,
Sure. Well, I just led a,
want this?
Oh, good. Thanks.
I just led a luxury panel with Doug, and there were some great realtors on it, and I have to say that Doug's advice was not always the same as everyone else's. And these are all great agents, including Doug. They really are great people, great agents. And I think that Doug was an outlier in some of his opinions about things. And in each of those things where he was an outlier, I felt like a kindred spirit for sure. I want to share one of them because I was gonna really get on Doug about it in front of everybody, and it's slipping my mind a little bit, but it's when we were talking about being on purpose, and I know that Doug only works a certain number of days per week. And really has time management and time blocking and all that kind of stuff. And he said to me, well, and this wasn't even on the panel, it's when we talked about it after. He said, well, if a client calls me at 8 a.m. on Saturday, there's no way I'm taking that call. No way in the world. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, Doug. And then he said something even more interesting, which was, oh, by the way, if it would work, if it was actually going to do something, if I was going to jump through all of these hoops for this crazy client, it was actually going to do something, I actually would go at 8 a.m. But my life experience has shown me that it's not going to work out anyway. And what I got from that piece of advice was just that, having these. And I have a mentor. I go through mentors, to learning different things, different times, different people. And this one mentor, that I have now, says, you train people how to treat you. He's very anti-victim, he says there's no such thing as a victim. There's only volunteers. That's kind of a radical thing to say. When that some bad stuff happens to people, right? But you train people how to treat you. And so maybe you move forward with your clients, with a luxury client, maybe you move forward with a great client, with a high-end client. Maybe you move forward when you create boundaries. And that was kind of a lesson that I learned from that. So what do you think of that, Doug?
Well, I just think schedule is the biggest thing in real estate. So, and of course, if I have a client that's referred me business, I answer their call immediately and I do whatever it takes, because those are the people that you love and those are the people that make your career awesome. But I stick to a schedule. I personally try to take Saturday and Sunday off and half a day off during the week. And I've been doing that for 10 years now, because all I know is that if you mess up your day with a client that all of a sudden calls you at 8 o'clock a.m. to go see a house, they're not going to buy that house unless something, unless it's a great client. But every time I've ever screwed up my life or my day for one client, they've never bought the house. and they end up using their sister to buy the house anyways. So I try not to let their emergency screw up my whole day, and I stopped doing that.
Yeah, if I can chime in on that, they call there's no such thing as an emergency in real estate, it's just bad preparation.
Yeah.
And so we created a time block, and it's usually noon or 12:30 or 1 o'clock, and you can move it around. We just call it QRF, quick reactionary force. All those calls, all those text messages, all those emails that come in, just have a moving half hour after your lead gen time, after flow, after your follow-up, after your, all those important things that you need to get done before 12. That 30-minute hour floating block now becomes, hey, let me put out these fires. Let me return all the crazy calls. Let me return all the OMG, I got to see this house, all of that stuff.
But that being said,
Mhm.
if a client needs to buy a house today, so my goal, and I tell everyone, my goal is when I have 17 in escrow, I'm only working with someone that wants to buy a house in 24 hours. If I'm down to 4 escrows, I'm looking for someone that's buying a house in 30 days. If I have nothing going on, I'll talk to anybody. Oh my God, you're gonna buy a house in a year? Great, let's start looking at that. So because I need to stay busy, and my net worth always is how busy I am. If I have 17 in escrow, man, I am the best realtor in the town. And if I have 3, I'm okay. If I have 0, I'm a loser. So I start calling everybody. So that's kind of how I look at things. So I always want to, 17 escrows is always, I love 17 escrow. I don't know why, it always sticks in my head. When I have 17 in, I just feel like everything's going good. One closes, one goes in. One closes, one goes in. You keep that steady flow, and you feel like you actually have a career. And I start feeling like a paid athlete or I'm a movie star or something. I'm getting all this money coming in. I love it. But when I get slow like this year, I'm like, oh shit, 3 escrow sucks, and it's really hard. And I start looking at the 30-day period.
So you're talking to everyone right now.
I'm talking to everybody. But you have to remember, if someone is a 24-hour client that's going to buy a house in 24 hours, if they text me, within 10 seconds, I'm texting back. I don't care what time of day it is. If they text me at 4 o'clock in the morning and I happen to be up already, I'll text them back. Because if someone's going to buy in 24 hours, those are the people I want to hit. And you remember, the biggest thing in real estate is that time kills every deal. If you wait long enough, that deal will be dead. So everyone has to understand that. People always go, oh, get back to them after my cold calling at 4. No bullshit. If they're a 24-hour client, they're going to buy today. You hit them immediately.
Now, how do you define 24-hour client?
That means they have to buy. They sold their house and they need to find one immediately. They're the type of client that if they need to buy in 24 hours and you don't call them back in a half an hour, oh, Doug, you didn't call me back, so I called the listing agent and saw it already.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time.
Yep.
So, but if it's a 30-day client, they have till Saturday to see it.
Oh yeah.
24-hour client, they need to see it
So
immediately.
you know a little bit of their background. It's not like
It's your clients.
there you go. Thank
Your
you guys.
clients.
Past clients, guys, core.
It's not a cold client.
Right.
It's a real client, someone that has to buy. And you're the one that in back of your mind, you already counted the commission. That one. That way you go, oh, they're buying for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 30 grand coming in. That's the client, the 24-hour client. The one that says, I might buy in 30 days. That's the one that you can call back after lunch. But if you're at lunch and a 24-hour client calls you, you text them back. Great, I'll show you at 1.
Perfect. So frame of reference, if you guys are running an opportunity list, a financial flow chart, a lead follow-up pipeline, whatever you want to call it, these are the people that may have been 60 days out, but now all of a sudden life has happened or something's happened that they're just like blowing up your phone and there's a response, right? And I want to translate some of it because I think some people, like especially on that panel, not to take away from those awesome speakers, but a lot of people got lost in what you were saying, that you're cold-hearted, that you're not working with anyone unless they're ready now. But the truth is you're working with people ready now because they believe in you and they know that you care about them.
Well, I said to them, I'm not going to work for anyone that's not going to pay me. I
Yeah.
said that and they go, oh my God, it's all about money. Yeah, that's our job. I mean, for one, you get on an airplane, the pilot's, I'm flying free today. They don't do that. You're getting paid. And I'm not saying I need to get paid. I'm not looking at the commission check, the size or anything else. I'm not going to waste time with somebody that's not going to buy a house. It has nothing to do with the money. But I said, oh, it's about getting paid. It's about not getting paid. It's about closing the transaction.
Mhm.
I've never cared about money. I've not cashed commission checks for months at a time. It doesn't matter. The money really doesn't matter because I would say, I hate to say this, but if I sell an $8 million house, I'd rather sell 8 $1 million houses because I feel better about myself because then I sold 8 houses.
Yeah.
You know,
So you're 17 escrows.
yeah, because it feels better to close deals than make money for me. So it sounds stupid, but it just feels better. Because when you're closing deals, it's awesome. And then you close the deal, and then if you sold 8 houses, there's 8 friends of theirs that might buy a house from you. You close one $8 million house, you might get 1 referral. So that's why I like doing more, but the big checks are nice.
Nice. And that being said, it's like 60 grand. Hey, let's do that. Yeah.
The Doug's got such great points. I'm writing them down for everybody. Schedule's the most important thing in real estate. I can't say enough about that. But then one of the things you touched on was you all have heard the 10,000 hour rule, right? Or I think at this point, everybody's heard that. It's Malcolm Gladwell, and it really takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. And Malcolm Gladwell did not do that research on his own. He pinched that research from, which is fine, you know, people read other people's stuff. There's a piece he left out of it when he pinched that piece of real estate, and that was purposeful. And that is that it really isn't 10,000 hours. What it is a large number of very purposeful hours. So what I hear and what Doug's saying is on the wasting time thing is that you can work an 8-hour day. And if you're talking to a bunch of people who aren't ready to buy, you're just having conversations. And you're wasting your time because you are here to be a successful realtor. You are here to fund your life. You're here to do all those things. And so purposeful conversations are conversations that are had with people that are ready to buy and sell, ready to buy or sell or invest. And it's also, what are you saying? And I've seen people that were great realtors and were already making a great living and just pivoted what they were saying a little bit to make that conversation a little bit more purposeful, and with the same, really genuinely the same amount of effort, got a lot more results.
Are you guys writing that down, by the way? That was a key nugget right there.
I'm just taking Doug's stuff, and you know, one of the things I thought was very cool about 17 escrows is not necessarily the number, you know, and even Doug's like, well, I don't know why exactly it's 17, but Doug has a translation from what I can hear of what's the number, what's the thing that's going to make me, he said paid athlete. So my word for that is rock star, right? So like, I want to be a rock star. I want to feel like a rock star. So what Doug is saying is like, hey, when I had 17 escrows, I feel like a rock star. And it was that, you know, paid athlete, superstar, you know, and that's really connecting to your passion. So now you've got schedules, everything with the refinement of being purposeful, and then really having something that's going to really drive that passion. When you go, hey, I want to feel like a rock star. That's my words. You know, I want to feel like a paid athlete. I want to feel like a superstar. I want to feel like a rock star. That I get real passion behind that. And then what are those things? And that's what's going to drive me through the things, the activities that I know are necessary for success, and pull you through and not be begrudging about any of it, you know, and you know, again, sort of talking to you know, not a mentor, but a different friend of mine who's a psychologist, and my brother's wife is a psychiatrist. Oh, they still can't hear me?
I was talking to him.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So it's louder. And you know, I'm always interested in learning. So I'm always like, you know, gloves off, you know, tell me what, you know, get different impressions. One of the things she said about me was, you know, you tend to kind of gloss over like difficulties or whatever, you know, and put it in another sort of, there's another sort of aspect to it. I'm always trying to think like, it's my sister-in-law. She's an MD psychiatrist. Like, you know, she's trying to pathologize me again. That's what she does for a living, is diagnosis. But she's like, she's gloss over. And I thought about that for a while. I'm like, you know, there's a couple of different stories I could tell about yesterday. And a lot of stuff went well. If you're busy, you're doing a lot of stuff, you know, and I did a lot of stuff yesterday, and a lot of stuff went well. A lot of stuff didn't go well. There were some frustrations in it. And I can go back and look at that, and I honestly, I could tell you 7 things that happened yesterday. And you'd be like, maybe not 7, I'd tell you 3 or 4 things that really truly happened yesterday, you'd be like, oh, that's a bad day. And I can tell you 2 or 3 or 4 things that happened yesterday, be like, that's a magnificent day. It all happened. And you know, how you look at things, I mean, I guess it's a bold rule, right? So it's like the way you look at things changes the thing, or something, sorry, I butchered that. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. But I really do feel like that. And I know I was a lawyer for a while, and you know, because of ADHD or whatever, I don't enjoy reading, I don't enjoy conflict all the time. That was another thing she said, you know, you seem to be a little conflict averse, and you know, you gloss over things, and I just look, you know what, I'm not breaking rocks. Now that's a cliche, okay, because not many people I know do actually break rocks, some do. But I'm not breaking rocks. The other thing I'm not doing is I'm not sitting in a law firm all day. I don't care how much you pay me. Pay me $5 million a year. I don't want to sit in a law firm and read the stuff and listen to everybody's gripes and write it all down and make this persuasive and make the other side look as bad as I can possibly make them look. And that for me is breaking rocks. So like I look at what I do, and I'm super grateful, period. And it's that framing piece. Geez, I don't know how I got there. Oh yeah, from the 17 escrows. And that's just that. Why not look at life? You know, why not have that thing that's gonna like take you and pull you and drive you? There's a piece in your day today that really is important for you to do, for you to have the success that you want, that you don't love doing. Let's get straight with that, you know?
Well, 17 escrows, I think in my mind is mindset.
I agree.
Yeah, it's complete mindset, because a lot of agents here are newer agents. And when you sell, you have 2 in escrow and start just getting involved and working that deal, and you go, oh, I'm doing so good. And I remember a long time ago, probably 34 years ago, I was doing great in real estate. And I was talking to this guy, I told him how great I'm doing. I got 3 in escrow, everything's great. And he told me, I think this is where the number came from, because I have 17 in escrow. And I couldn't sleep
I
for
love it.
24 hours.
I love it.
I literally all
Love
night I was thinking, is someone down 17
I love it.
escrows? So it's possible. It's all of a sudden like doing the 4-minute mile.
Yes.
As soon as you said you can do it and someone does it, oh, everyone can do a 4-minute mile. You know, I couldn't believe it. And that's what we all have to think about, is when you go in real estate, our goals are so low. It's just funny because we all think of ourselves as, you know, I'm going to do 3. If your goals have to be gigantic. And my biggest regret, because I'm at the end of my career now, 36 years, I'm near the end. My biggest regret in real estate is having low goals.
Mhm.
And I just didn't have anyone said, you should have been 50 escrow. You know, just these crazy goals. And people talk about goals all the time, and we never really think of it as achievable. We always go, oh, I'm going to do this, and we don't really believe it. I think as a younger realtor or younger in the business, not even age, your goals have to be gigantic, but then you have to believe them.
Wow.
Yeah. Giant goal.
I don't think also 17 is like where you're in your field. That's why it feels.
It's easier.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't want to say money matters, but money solves a lot of stupid little problems.
well, and
Oh, yeah.
also, you know, you could just say 34 escrows, somebody's brand new, and that's not gonna be the thing that's gonna pull them through. It's interesting that you have a story, you know, thinking back about that. And when I was thinking about coming here and talking, and, you know, Philip said life lessons, and I was trying to think back on, you know, what are some of the life lessons? And there are those moments, you know, and I have them. I have those moments. It's like, it doesn't seem like it made any difference, but you're like, oh, I talked to that one guy. It's totally like, you know, random conversation. He said 17 escrows, but you didn't sleep for 24 hours.
Right.
And that was how many years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool to think back on that stuff. And you'll have to excuse because you did paid athlete, right? So you have to excuse the, let me give you the disclosures. I was never anywhere near, possibly ever gonna be a paid athlete, but, so let me tell you a football story.
Okay.
And I was, I think probably seventh grade, something like that, seventh grade. I know it was middle school. And I was, starting on the varsity, the middle school varsity football team, and I was pretty talented in terms of like size relative to the other 12, 13-year-olds and all that kind of stuff. And, I did a lot of things great. I did enough things great that I was a starter in an important defensive position on that thing. And the main goal of what I had was not to let anybody get past, like you didn't have to make the tackle, you just had to contain, because I was on the outside. And I made sure like I did that no matter what. And that's how I got that starting position. And then there was a key moment where there was an open field tackle that needed to be made. And I was kind of like, I must like hesitated a little bit, which would be normal for me. And a friend of mine who was really the star defensive player, I was kind of in between him and the tackle, and he shoved me. And I made this tackle, and the coach was like, "That's the best tackle you've made I've ever seen you make." And it's because the guy shoved me. And I thought, man, I thought about that, and I thought about that, and I never really learned from it, but I thought about it. And then, I was probably 40 years old, which is still a long time ago. And I used to be one of the things, yeah, right. And one of the things that I was very afraid of, or I was very self-conscious about, was public speaking. So I would come to a group like this, and I think I have something to share, but I would be very, very self-conscious and be very nervous. It can interfere with your ability to communicate what you have to communicate. And at 40 years old, I had another mentor, and mentor said to me, he's kind of exploring different things with me. He's like, well, wait a minute, I think that you think mistakes are bad. And I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, hey, look, I've been on the planet enough to know that like everybody makes mistakes, that you can't go around in your day like, hey, I'm going to do everything perfect, so therefore I'm not going to get out of bed because, I might make a mistake. I'm not like scared to death of mistakes. You said, hey, are you scared to death of mistakes? I'd be like, oh, heck no, I'm not scared to death of mistakes. But he said, I think that you think that mistakes are bad. I'm like, well, they are bad. He's like, wow, I can't believe it. I can't believe that like you think mistakes are bad. And then, there are some, and here's why, because we set out to do everything and do a great job at it. And my intention is always to do the thing well. And then if I make a mistake, I'm like, well, that's okay, I tried, no problem. Like you take the game-winning shot and you miss it, that was a mistake, but you tried, right? So it's like we all know like the thing about Michael Jordan or whatever. So I still think mistakes are bad, like, just don't be afraid to take the shot. But how many inventions that are life-changing that came from a mistake, like a genuine mistake? And I wish I could think of like better example, but like, you got this like drug that was like a B-, was never going to be more than a B- for relieving blood pressure because it was an iffy drug to begin with. And then they figured out one of the side effects of it was it affected the cycle of hair growth. And that drug is minoxidil, which then became $1 billion drug. That was a genuine mistake. Oh yeah, Rogaine. Yeah, Rogaine. Yeah, Rogaine's the brand name for minoxidil.
I had a terrible Father's Day joke. Like all the biggest mistakes were over dads. You get it?
Yeah.
That's a terrible joke.
But
All
but
right.
so
I go with baseball.
yeah.
Times 37.
I love it.
They took their mistakes, and that was their 37th try in making Heinz ketchup.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, so if I could underline something, if I could write it, if I wrote it up on the board, because I'm better at writing when Doug's talking, but if I could write it up on the board, it's like mistakes are bad. Meaning I would underline the R. Like by definition, mistakes are bad. And at 40 years old, I learned that I knew it was okay to make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes if you're trying hard in life, but I still thought mistakes actually were inherently bad. And as soon as I learned that lesson, how does that tie back to the football thing, right? Because I never went for that tackle because I didn't want to end up with grass in my teeth, right? I missed the tackle and you look like a moron, so instead I would kind of like stay like this. I make sure I didn't miss the tackle. The guy didn't get by me, it's not the world's greatest tackle, but the greatest people who are really great at that sport are diving nose first, and they're going to eat a lot of grass. And I was never eating
Well, it's
grass.
called prospecting.
That's
So
right.
In prospecting, you either can hit 30 and make, 29 mistakes and get one, or you can go what everyone does here at a time, get ready to prospect. And you never push towards that tackle. You just wait there and go, I'm gonna only do the tackle when I'm ready. It's
Never
better
right.
just to wake up and start cold calling or door knocking or call your influence people around you, or go have breakfast with a client that's gonna refer you business. And that's better to make a mistake with them than make no mistake at all.
That's
I think that's what you're saying.
That's right.
You have to make 100 mistakes in order to get a win in real estate.
Right. And that also, that also is the like, you miss every shot that you don't take and all that kind of stuff. But also that making a mistake doesn't define me as a person. It doesn't make me a lesser person. It doesn't, there are all these like other things that, like to grow up in a household with perfectionists or whatever. And really, this, and I love that you bring it back to prospecting, and that's just go out and make it happen, because you're going to learn so much more through those mistakes. Now you want the tackle to land. And whenever the tackle has landed in other areas, right? Because I never did become a great football player, but whenever the tackle lands, I never learn anything.
Yeah, you don't want to tackle the first guy, because then prospecting is like,
Right.
it's super easy. You think
It's like if you went to the casino, it's like if you went to the casino, if you went to the casino and you pulled the handle and you won 10 grand, that's the worst thing that could.
Can we borrow something from what you guys are saying? Though?
Right?
Hey, Paul, can we borrow something though? You said, what we do isn't like crushing rocks,
Yeah.
right? And
That's
so
what
like,
the
if
rocks.
prospecting is nothing more than a series of mistakes, and you're hitting a net +1, you're adding somebody new to your database or to your appointment list or your pipeline who's going to do business now or in the next 90 days. And this isn't rocks, right? Not to make it personal. I remember going to Target with WIC vouchers and then getting the wrong, size melts and the wrong type of cereal. And then them telling me, oh, this isn't it. And then I have to actually put everything back in the cart, walk it back, return them, and then get the right items. See, that was hard. Not prospecting, I wasn't in real estate at the time, but not being in an environment like this and knowing that was the emotion I was dealing with like every other week, picking this stuff up, that was hard, right? So when I saw real estate, I was like, oh, so what do you guys do? Oh, we just talk to people every day.
Well, our problem is that we don't talk to people every day. We talk to each other every day.
Well, I took for granted what the guy was telling me. I just said, oh, okay, so you're talking to clients.
Could you imagine if we talked to clients for 8 hours a day, how successful every single one of us would be?
Well, that's the point.
Yeah, could you imagine?
The
It'd be
mistakes,
impossible,
the
right?
mistakes that we make, quote unquote mistakes that we make, prospecting and failing forward, pale in comparison to the hard of not doing it. Right? Whatever that hard is for you, there's hard for different people in this room. We all have a story that makes people cry, that make each other cry. But the mistakes here are fun, because then I get to joke about it. I get to joke with Natalia and Jessica. They showed up at a client's house and there was a for sale sign, but not theirs, on the line. Right? I get to show up and Natalia opens escrow on an escrow, and I'm pulling the address like, oh my God, these are the people I sold a home to during the pandemic, and I didn't stay in touch with them. The irony is that we have a teammate buying the house, right?
Ask everyone in here a question about prospecting. How many people have truly taken their database and organized it to the point where you can actually
There you
start
go.
going after your clients? And I'm guilty of that. It took me 22 years, and I finally did it a month ago. And it's just shocking how well it works when you have an organized database. How many people have actually organized their database somewhere on a CRM or even on command? Raise your hand if you've done it.
In the middle of it.
Less than half.
Yeah.
Yeah, way less than that. You know what? And that's a great point. I'm gonna I'm gonna drill this point a little bit more.
Please.
Because one of the things that you said was, prospecting is not breaking rocks, okay? And what I'm gonna say to everyone is that why do we act like it's like breaking rocks then? Because here's the thing. There is something there, and it's like the public speaking thing, okay? When they do these like crazy tests, it's like, you know, the fear that people get in public speaking is equivalent for a lot of people to fear of death. And I kind of do get it because I was dramatically afraid of public speaking, you know, 15, 20 years ago. And I kind of get that, but you gotta like, why is that? So, you know, we can all say like, well, it's not so bad. What's the worst that's gonna happen? Da, 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 whatever, you know, but how do we get over that? Because what I'm gonna say to you is, prospecting is like breaking rocks.
No, prospecting is like public speaking.
Yeah, okay, or like public speaking
Because
is like.
the first
breaking
door
rocks.
you hit, the first cold call, you have all the fear. And my mentor was Mike Ferry. And he goes, Doug, what's the, he didn't say Doug, he said it's 2,000 people. He goes, what's the worst thing that can happen when you knock on their door? Worst thing, and we all said, they could say no. And he goes, nope, he can come out and shoot you in the head. That's the worst thing. Okay.
Like, okay.
That is the worst.
It's real.
And he goes, what happens then? You're dead. You're dead. And he goes, yeah, no problems. You're dead. There's no problem there.
Get that life insurance policy.
Yeah,
updated.
so basically, the worst thing that can happen, yeah, they could shoot you dead. Then after that, it gets more mellow. They could say no, or
Yeah,
they could say they want to sell in 30 days, would suck. That you want 24 hours, obviously.
yeah,
So you when you're prospecting, it's like I remember sitting on my steering wheel in my car vividly all the time. The first door, me slamming on my steering wheel, going, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. Then the second door, easier, third door, easier,
Yeah.
fourth door, easier. But the first door or the first cold call, the
Yeah.
first anything,
Was it
sucks.
like the worst?
yeah,
Well, you just don't want to get out. I mean, for me, I just didn't want to get out of the car. You're like, oh, I want to do anything else than that. But when you don't have business, it's really easy. Flipping burgers or door knocking. You know, those are the two things that I qualified at 26 years old or 27 years old. That was this. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was 20 years old. I was 20 years old when I started real estate. That was the only thing. I was either a cook or I was going to door knock. And you know what? Door knocking is a lot easier than that. And for me back in the day, door knocking is free because you just need a stack of cards. And it asks the people go, I can't afford a prospect.
Still only need a stack of cards
Yeah,
or.
stack of cards and that's it. And that's it. Our business is the craziest thing. I didn't advertise for the probably the first 20 years because I didn't want to spend money. Like, why spend money when you can just door knock? So, you know, people spend all this money and advertising and everything does work, but that's the easy version of prospecting.
that's right. And advertising and spending that money is a great way to pump up your prospecting. But it's a
Absolutely.
terrible way to actually generate the business that you need.
It helps add to.
You're not connecting with.
That's right.
Well,
It's a
the,
benign way of going after
It's the add to.
well, the biggest thing with anything in real estate for me, I used to ask this question all the time. Am I doing it to get business or am I doing it for ego? And a lot of people advertise their ego, their big pictures and do all that stuff. And it does help if you spend all this money on advertising, if you follow it up with prospecting, or you go prospecting, advertising and prospecting, then it works.
Enhance.
But you're just never gonna get, they're never gonna call you if you just pay for it. It'll be tough, or unless you.
Yeah, and you know, and I don't think we've necessarily, once we solve it, you know, then everybody will run out and prospect. So I think we can, you know, we haven't solved it yet, but I do think that somehow prospecting is like breaking rocks for people. And one of the ways to get through that is to actually do it. A great way to do it is to
Sell without selling.
sell without selling, because that takes the pressure away. And then just find somebody who's great at it and go along with them one time. I use a script when I want a mentor, and that is, you know, what do I have to do to earn the right to? And that's my script. And I haven't asked that many people that using that script, but it's never failed. You know, what do I have to do to earn the right to, you know, have coffee with you? And just using that script because it comes from contribution. I haven't had people say no to that. So I would find somebody that is an A+ prospector. Nowadays, you could go on YouTube and watch people who are really great at it. I find that I've done it, and I find that a little less interesting because I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's the 14th take, you know. I mean, that's just the way my mind works.
Well, that's how I found your video.
As opposed to just watching somebody do it live, or, you know, maybe they take a turn or you take a turn or something like that. But just doing it, I think it also brings up a lot of stuff. It's like, well, why do I hesitate to do it anyway?
You have to though. So I mean, it's like a doctor saying, I don't like blood, you know.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be a surgeon if you don't like blood. You can't be a
Get
real estate.
over it.
If you don't like prospecting, don't be a real estate agent.
Okay.
I mean, it's just so cut and dry.
And it can feel like breaking rocks if it wants to feel like breaking rocks. But if you want to be a realtor, that makes a living, you have to prospect. Yeah.
Oh, is there a database we have of different types of, like, half a dozen different type of call to action blasts or paragraphs that we can send to clients for different directions, whether, like, I was talking to Philip this morning about sending one to Gus or going after his referral base, asking a call saying, hey, you know anybody who's having a change of life situation where I could potentially have you call, that's a call to action for referrals.
Yeah.
We have a database of different things that we can send out to agents so they can literally.
The best thing to send out to anybody is not that. You know, if I get something saying, hey, you haven't changed your life, yeah, who gives a shit, right? If all said, yeah, people don't care. You want to send something, get the best deal on the multiple listing that you saw that you go, oh my God, I'd buy that. And you send that out. Oh my God, I just saw this. You know, anyone's interested in buying that, you know, the house is gonna be sold anyways, but they look at it and go, wow, that is a good deal. And if any of them are interested, they'll be calling you.
How often do you touch these people? So to speak?
Well, I don't, like you, I mean, I don't do anything enough. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm the best prospector, best anything anymore. I'm just saying that you need to give someone a reason to call.
Recommend sending something out to try and touch them in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Well,
How
you need to take.
You have to connect with people, and this is the difference. We have to get off our phones, stop texting people, start speaking to people face to face, and having conversations.
Take people out to coffee, take people out to lunch and talk to them.
I mean,
And do it in a purposeful way.
There's what they consider complete communication, because most people don't pick up the phone when you call them today. So they say text first, what's a good time to connect? Have them call, text afterwards saying, hey, it's nice speaking to you, and send them so there's 4 touches, and that's a complete communication.
Yeah.
And Roger has made a whole career on a small group of people that he goes after. He has like a top 20, top 50.
Well, it's like it's 150 is the.
If you think, you have 1,000 people in your phone at least.
I just capped this year on one client, which was one of my original clients 5 years ago when I started, that I stayed in touch with, right? Their house is listed, the mother bought a house, their brother bought a house, and only because I stayed in touch for those 4 or 5 years, with a call, not a text, every now and then to just see how we were doing for it, blocked by their house, because I sold it to them.
Right.
It's me,
But that's a great thing. But to stay in pace, but for a lot of people, they look at their database, and go, oh, we've got thousands of people. It's an overwhelming, daunting thing to say, I gotta stay in touch with 1,000, 1,500 people. What Roger does is he's narrowed it down to like the top 100 people. That's not daunting to stay in touch and constantly touching and contacting those people. And that works.
And I do have a question, because Doug, I heard your talk the other day, and what did intrigue me was not this part, but that 25% that you talked about of new business, because the problem is my business, a lot of people, they're staying in place, they're not moving, they're a little older. And I'm just curious, like, who Who's the new people there?
Well, the new people are the exciting ones. So, there's, so for me, so I lose 25% of my clients every year. I don't care what anyone says, they die, they move out of the area, they become a realtor, whatever it might be. You're gonna lose 25% of your business around. So my 25% is gonna be, oh, that person that called me on my sign and wants to buy my listing. I sell it to them, I give them great business, I start asking about their family, and I want to be their realtor now. So that's a new one. And then you have to remember, if you sell 50 houses, 25% is not that much. If you sell 100 houses, that's 25 new sales. That's a lot. So it matters how many houses you sell. You're selling 12, or 10, it's only a couple,
I'm
right?
still trying to add to.
But you're always adding to your database, because unfortunately, I mail to my clients once a month. And I would say I get 3 that not take me off their list. They moved. And guess who they didn't use? So they're off my list. So I need to add 3 all the time, on the people that leave.
Are you
But-
cold calling these things?
I cold call when I'm in an area that I want to buy in, or my clients want to buy in. So I use the normal thing. And I like
But he does.
I like-
The answer is yes.
I like door knocking myself. I like littering sometimes. I do that just for fun to get exercise. So there's 2 things. Littering is the easiest out of the bunch. Yeah, that's the best, because, and it still works. It's basically doing a mail out without paying for the stamp. But it's still good, because when you are littering, someone's outside and you have to talk to them, right? Or if you notice, oh, that house is thrashed, you pull up that address. Or you talk to the neighbor and you go, what's going on with that house? So I like going out there, I like being outside, I like walking, I like the fresh air, I like all that stuff. So I'm much doing that, but cold calling is the easiest, because if they're mean, you hang up. So,
Yeah, a friend of mine started his business he came in from out of town, and he started his business in Bel Air. He wasn't from LA, he just heard Bel Air was cool. This guy's cool too, by the way, so that doesn't hurt. And he's like, oh, and then he had a Mike Ferry coach, and the Mike Ferry coach told him to door knock 2 hours a day. And how do you door knock in Bel Air? Because it's mostly gates and whatever else. And he door knocked every day for 2 hours in Bel Air, and he got 0 business from that. But because he had decided that he was going to make this area his area, one of the things, and he still door knocks Bel Air, one of the things that he does is he's like, and he does a lot of the like leaving something, or ring the buzzer, or nobody answers or leave something. But people just drive by and honk at him and wave. So he's out there and he's being seen in that area. And now, it's now his 15th year or whatever, 20th year in Bel Air, and he's a great business. But he started doing the door knocking and continued to do it. But I will say this, and you could even see it when I interviewed this luxury or mega panel, is there are 2 schools of real estate prospecting and real estate business generation, and both of them work. And there is the Mike Ferry, and there's the Roger, or Brian Buffini, and there's
But Doug does
They're-
both. And-
I like both, to be
You
honest.
know, which I appreciate, everyone's not giving, because that's not what you're talking about. But-
No, I like straddling the 2, but I just want to tell everybody what the 2 are, so that they can, because they're going to hear wildly different. Because these 2 are wildly different. And Brian Buffini, he's just a coach who a lot of people do it, but it's about, you've got if he went through your database, he would start clipping all these names out. He would take Doug's database, but your database is way too big, and his is all about having a small database that you're touching very regularly, and doing client appreciation parties. They have a whole program. And Mike Ferry would say, you're crazy. Mike Ferry's about get to the answer no as fast as you can, so you're not wasting time. So that you are, because I worked with the Mike Ferry coach, and he just, prospect, and, get to know as fast as you can, because that way, if you get the no in 2 minutes instead of 20 minutes, you've just saved 18 minutes. And the no is still there anyway.
Let's take a moment and
Or
break
it's
the gap here.
next.
I mean, we have KW Command, and not to like pitch all the KW stuff. I got in trouble for saying that if you ever leave, you can take all the data with you. So there's no shame in going all in with command, knowing that you could export the bad boy, right?
Absolutely.
So go all in, even if you were to go start your own thing, you can take all that data out. But in the meantime, as we're prospecting like crazy, right, and we're doing all this stuff, what a shame if all of a sudden, what a shame my clients went and sold the Coldwell Banker.
Well, there are companies, lots of companies that you use their database, and one of the things that you're signing is that they now have access to your database. So
Correct.
even if you dupe the database, they get to keep your database and work.
Not with command.
And that's not true with Keller Williams. And I think it's a great business. I think it's a great business decision, just because it makes the stakes of coming to Keller Williams and using command a lot lower, because that if you were to change your mind, but people don't know that, and I have friends that were at other companies, decided to move, and then they before they gave notice, they duped their database because they knew they could get locked out. So they had a full copy of their own database when they left, but as soon as they gave notice, they were locked out.
Well, the good news is no one's gonna take their database and cold call, because that's work.
Right. Well, that's good too.
That's awesome.
They also tried to retain the juniors on the team.
That's hilarious.
They try to retain the juniors on the
Yeah,
team.
but they still won't. call.
They still won't.
We got Terry Lynn back there.
Yeah.
The best thing to do when you're door knocking, the best thing, and it's the easiest thing for me, because if I hit door, is it just sold. Just sold your neighbor's house, or just listed, because you're not telling them anything. You're not asking them to sell the house. It's a second party close. So I always go, just list the neighbor house. If you have a friend or neighbor or your loved one that you'd like to live in the neighborhood. So something like
Your
that.
neighbor.
It's just a just sold or just listed is the best. And it doesn't have to be one of your just solds or your just listed, by the way. People always go, oh, I don't have any business. I can't door knock? For one, someone in this office has sold something in that neighborhood. So you can say, hey, someone in the office just sold this house, and you can say their name on the bottom and everything. And you can also say, even if a Coldwell Banker sold, hey, just to let you know, one of our colleagues just sold a house down the street. Have you guys thought about selling? So
RDRE.
but I always want to do just sold or just listed.
And it's very informational, and it's one thing that everybody wants to know. If somebody came up to me in front of my house and said, hey, I don't know if you know or not, but like 7 doors down, they just sold the house. I would be like, oh, give me the sheet, like how many bedrooms was it? Like what condition is it? What was the price per square foot? That's information that's valuable to anybody. So it's not a hardcore sell.
We have a question back there.
Yeah. Question. I know a handful of agents kind of creating their own inventory right now, like door dropping, something to the effect of, I have a buyer for your house.
Yeah.
Whether or not they actually do.
Yeah.
But I think that's.
Nicer when you do ask one.
Right. There's, they're starting to get stricter about saying that you've got a buyer when you don't actually have.
You always have a buyer at a certain price. So
Yeah, it's impossible about
I mean, I hate to say, like, you can walk on the door, I have a buyer for a house, the house is worth 800 and I'll buy it for 600 right now, so there's always a buyer for a house. So I don't think it's really careful, but it's better to just do just sold to this listed, because people, you kind of degrade yourself when you say I have a buyer for the house. If you want to say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, they have 2 dogs and their daughter is 3 years old, and they're looking to move in your neighborhood. I'm not looking to list your house, I'm looking to sell your house. That's a little bit better than buyer.
Or even, do you know anybody who wants to sell?
Yeah, anything, but the whole idea is doing nothing, you'll get 0. I know that.
I will say something. There's more energy around us door knocking than there is calling our sphere, and I want to know why. I felt like we did a deep dive, and there's nothing wrong with either or. I'm just saying, no, like, trust. If I meet Doug for the very first time, there's an amount of touches for him just to get to know me and eventually like me, and at some point trust me to handle his real estate, right? Whereas I could call 50 people that know me through somebody, and there's a no, and maybe it takes only 2 or 3 touches to become liked, and then maybe 2 or 3 more touches to be trusted, right? So in 6 touches, maybe 6 touches in the farm is a year, half a year, 6 touches on my phone is half a year, but I'm at no, like, and trust with people that are in my SOI in my phone book. in my iPhone, then those same 6 touches in a micro farm or even a geographic farm.
But you have to
Right.
remember, we're not saying don't do that.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
saying, I'm
but-
just saying
but
the energy.
You have 8 hours of flipping
Right.
burgers, right?
Yes.
So 2 hours talking to warm leads, 2
Okay.
hours talking to hot leads, then what are you gonna do with the rest?
Let's say
Cold.
we're all realtors, right? We're all realtors in this room. We have a relative personality that says, hey, I know people, right? So if my phone already has an uneven amount of people, like 555 people in here, and I'm not calling them, then there might be some sort of history where maybe I see myself as not being enough to be the leader or the realtor for them. So I won't even tell them I'm an agent. And that's what I'm feeling that we're missing.
I
Yeah.
think that, you know, for me, when I used to cold call, and that used to be easier for me than talking to my sphere of influence. And I think, you know, if you're not talking to the spirit, and the whole Mike Ferry thing was like, who do you know that wants, you know, you're supposed to call your spirit, who do you know that wants stuff? And that, I was never comfortable with that particular. But it was because I wasn't really in a relationship.
Mm.
So if you're talking, you know, if that's the first thing you tell your spirits, who do you know wants to sell? It just can't be house the kids.
Gotta have a
it's all
process.
for-
Yeah.
And then at the end of the conversation, you know, with an organization I belong to, they talk about planting seeds,
Yep.
you know, hey, I just want you to know, if you happen to know somebody, I'm gonna, you know, treat them, I'm gonna make time for them, or whatever it is that you sell, and please don't keep me a secret.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to do a follow-up, like maybe another like breakdown of what that farm looks like. What does that SOI look like? Because there's way more when you actually do organize it. And real quickly, we'll get final thoughts from Doug and Paul. Just organize it by your phone. Who do you know and who knows you? That's your first column. And then you start calling all the people that know you, that you know them, and they may potentially, you see them liking you and you liking them. That's how you start your SOI calls. And you're not selling, you're just introducing the idea that you're in real estate, you're a realtor, and here you are. Closing thoughts, one of you guys fire away first. You guys are real studs. So we can go either way, one or the other.
Well, you know, I guess maybe, you know, the best advice is really the advice that you need in the moment. So it's hard to give the best advice. I think something that has helped me grow maybe more than anything is understanding that nothing is personal. So not taking and here's the thing. Human beings are generally pretty self-centered. I think that's, and I don't say that in a bad way. People are interested in what's going on in their life. And so the key to great prospecting is touching a touch point for their life. But if they tell you, like, you know, buzz off or whatever, it's not personal. Something else is going on in their life. Even if somebody were to say, like, hey, Paul, I'm coming to get you, that's about as personal as it gets. It's still probably not personal. It probably still has more to do with something else, as a general matter. And that I think is that sort of goes hand in hand with being afraid to make mistakes, you know, or taking a mistake personally. That it's not really a reflection. Value the try and the attempt, and figure out for yourself, what about, if you're not doing all the prospecting you want to do, what about the prospecting feels like breaking rocks, and how do you for yourself overcome that? And I think if each one of us took the time to do that, no matter where we are in our career, by the way, if you want more, you don't want more, if you've got what you've got and this is good, this is working, just keep doing the same thing. If you want more, figuring out what is that thing that's standing between you and the thing that you know will make a huge difference, and figuring out how to make that not breaking rocks, whether it's 17, you know, which is a cool example, or you know, getting in touch with your passion, which is another way of saying the 17. But that's what I'm thinking about all the time is, you know, how to help these people, you know, how to help people get what they want. Forget about what, I don't know what you want, but how do I help people get what they want.
By the way, guys, that's the essence of leadership. Leadership is teaching people how to think to get what, eventually what they want. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I
I'll
like,
take
what- I
some.
like what you said, everyone's goals are different. So what you said to go, your goal might be one a month, one deal a month. And your goal might not be doing 17 deals. Your goal might be working 1 day a week. Whatever your goal is, it has to be written down, no matter what. If your goals aren't written down, they're not goals. So just write down your goal, and if it's 1 deal a month and you're cool with it, that's a great goal. You don't need to go hit 8 hours of prospecting then. You could just, you could just probably sit and wait for someone to call you. And which is fun, people that have been in the business a long time, all they do is answer their phone and say, hi, yeah, when can I come over? So whatever your goal is, please write it down. And then you have to figure out how to achieve it. If it's 1, do nothing. If it's 17, probably do a lot. And then make sure to write it down and try to follow it all year. And all, in your goal list, make sure that you have days off on and things in there.
Wow. And be okay with changing the plan along the way. You might find a way to optimize that conversation. Maybe.
Well, if you reach your goal, then it's a bad goal.
Hey,
That's funny.
Philip, you have your goals written down?
I do.
Yeah, I figured that was the case. And that's amazing. And I just wonder how many people actually have their goals written down.
It's a simple, just do 1 goal. How many transactions do you want to do a year? Just do that 1 goal, just 1. If it's 1 house a year, put in your day timer 1. If it's 20, put 20. If it's 100, whatever the goal is, just do that 1 thing. And then you get out all the other stuff. Oh, I want to be a good dad. I want to be good this. I want to walk my dogs every day. All that stuff is lower in the thing. But for us, do the 1 goal is how many transactions you want to do the rest of this year, let's say.
Can we
just the rest of the year.
connect the two together real quick? So I took taking my kids to school, picking them up every day regardless, and all the fun stuff as a dad and parent, husband, and made that a part of the transaction goal, meaning that, hey, there's a certain income you need to make to pay your mortgage, pay your bills, take care of all that stuff. So like once we figured out what the lifestyle was and the choices that we wanted to make on an average year, prospecting was like nothing. It was like, oh, so for me to have that, I just need to make 10 contacts a day and follow a daily 10-4 from Ignite. Oh, that's bullshit. That's easy. Okay.
Well, having
Let's
4
do it.
kids is instant business anyway.
Uh,
When my kids are young, they're like, oh yeah, that's so easy. I'm sitting down there watching soccer. Hey, so when you thinking about moving?
there are a lot of
It was
kids behind that.
When your kids are 32 years old, it doesn't really help anybody.
Doug, that's having a purposeful conversation. And do you know how many people are parents who realtors and parents that aren't having that purposeful conversation? So
That's the easiest one, man.
yeah, so it's a purposeful conversation. And I'll add to the goal piece is that there's a concept of goal setting through. So anytime somebody really sits down with me with goals and we really figure out, like, oh, I want to make $2 million a year. You go, why is that? Oh, they have no idea. Okay, well, it's not a real goal, right? But when I get somebody who's like, yeah, I must net $240,000. Here are all the different reasons why. Immediately, I change that goal from net 240 to, pick a number, net, 300. And the reason why is because I know the best way to actually get them the 240 that they really know they need to do is to goal set and plan for 20% more. Because then that's with your piece. Like if you hit your goal wasn't high enough, I make sure that goal is a good 20% out ahead, because you're going to then take your goal and you're going to figure out what your daily activities are. And your daily activities, in order to hit 240 net, your daily activities have to be set at 300 in order to make sure you're hitting 240. Because if you really do everything it takes to do 240, I've just found over the years that people will do 180 or 200.
And it's really harder for the newer agents, and because you lose deals and, you don't get the deals, and it's easier for the people that, don't lose deals. So.
And I'm always learning.
So when you're younger in the business, your goals have to be bigger, and you have to work twice as hard, unfortunately.
I'm always learning, and one of the things Doug said is time kills all deals. It doesn't kill all deals.
It kills all deals.
Well, okay, okay.
Time kills all deals. Eventually, if you wait.
Eventually.
Time kills all deals.
Okay. I'll take it.
So go fast.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And I will say this to you, because generally, the highest and best use of my time is getting into business with phenomenal leaders.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I got into business with two phenomenal leaders. That's a big day. And the backstory on that was, you know, I have a business partner who is more careful and takes his time and is more thoughtful and everything else. And it takes too long sometimes, right? And on one of the key hires that I made yesterday, that I locked in yesterday, we had a deal done and it was all good. And we had a letter of intent and everything was all good, but she didn't have what she considered to be a rock solid contract because it wasn't formal. That was in her mind. I know as a lawyer, if we email back and forth, they go, hey Doug, I'll sell you the car for 10 grand. And you go, okay, deal. That's good enough, right? I know that, but sometimes people, they're moving their whole career. That wasn't enough, but I didn't know that. And lo and behold, she's like, well, I was talking to a competitor and the competitor's offering me more money. And I really got to consider that because I'm a single mom. I'm like, why are you talking to a competitor when we have, you know, is this somebody I want to be in business with? Because they're talking to a competitor after we have a deal. But I dug deeper into it and figured out she didn't see it as a real deal because she didn't have the contract. So I go, okay, send me what the other offer is. I look at the other offer. I go, okay, if I can meet this other offer, I'm not saying I can, that's my conditional clause. I'm not saying I can, but if I can meet this other offer, are you gonna sign immediately? If I give you the proper contract? She goes, absolutely. So we sat down, I took an old contract, I filled in all the blanks, had Valerie put it in DocuSign. I go, okay, I've got your word on this, here you go, send. She countersigns, comes back. And that cost me some serious dough. Because time was getting ready to kill that deal. And the second one was they were going in to tell their current employer that they were leaving. And I said, and she was good with it was a different person. She was good with the LOI. And I was afraid that employer was going to talk them back. You know, that's the risk, right? They go in and say, hey, you know, I'm just giving you my notice, and then I could lose that deal. And I said to that person, hey, I know you're cool with the LOI we have and all that kind of stuff. We've agreed to terms. Would it make the conversation any easier if I had a full-blown contract ready for you? She goes, oh, it would make it a lot easier. I go, when are you going in to have your conversation? She said, noon, it's 10 o'clock. I go, all right, I'm gonna have you the contract in a half hour. Took the same template out, moved the different numbers and positions around, put it in DocuSign. And I go, send it to you. She signs it. I sign it. Now she goes in to have that conversation. She already has and she went and had that conversation yesterday at noon. And that's two hires. And so when you tell me time kills every deal, that's the good, bad, and the ugly of one.